and welcome back to the Compliance Kitchen podcast. This is Sylvia, and today and for the next several episodes, I want to briefly go over the Ukraine developments and sanctions around that. A lot has happened just in the last week, as I'm sure you know. Now, before we get into that, please note that what you hear on Compliance Kitchen is not legal advice, and it should not be used as such. Now, going to the Ukraine situation. So, on February 21st, in response to the Russian government's recognizing the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, which are regions in Ukraine, as independent from Ukraine, the White House issued a new executive order imposing comprehensive sanctions on the two regions. Concurrently with this, OFAC issued 6 general licenses authorizing certain transactions that involve these two covered regions. Previously, some parts of the regions were already on the SDN list, including their purported governments. Now these new sanctions cover the regions in a blanket fashion. So the executive order, it prohibits U.S. persons. Remember, that also means entities incorporated under U.S. laws and their non-U.S. branches, parties physically located in the U.S., U.S. citizens, and so forth. So there's a specific definition that I highly recommend that you look up, make sure you understand what a U.S. person means in this context. And so the executive order prohibits U.S. persons from exports or re-exports, selling, supplying, whether directly or indirectly, any goods or services or technology to these two covered regions. It also prohibits engagement in new investments in the two covered regions. Also prohibits imports into the U.S. Of any goods, services, or technology from the two covered regions. And also, lastly, prohibits provision of any or approval of financing, facilitations, or guarantees of transactions by a non-U.S. party where the transaction would be prohibited if performed by a U.S. person, again, with respect to these two covered regions. Now, OFAC can also add to the SDN list parties that operate in the covered regions or provide material support to SDNs who were designated under the new executive order. Now, as far as the 6 general licenses that OFAC issued, these were similar to the Crimea sanctions. It's General License 17 through 22. And they have a wide variety of instruction from winding down operations and contracts involving the two covered regions to exports of agricultural commodities, medicine, and so forth to the covered regions, telecommunications, mail services, internet services. So I encourage you to look up those licenses. Again, that's a Ukraine General License 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 before you engage in any commercial transactions with the covered regions. Again, that's the Luhansk and Donetsk People's Republics. As for export restrictions, in case you're wondering if the Commerce Department has anything new, the BIS restrictions targeting Crimea are imposed under Section 746.6 of the EAR, and of course similar restrictions are to be expected on these two covered regions.